The rain that changed everything. The rain fell like tears from a broken sky, each drop carrying the weight of the world as it crashed against the weathered blue walls of the old apartment building. Marcus sat on the cold concrete steps, his broad shoulders hunched against the storm, watching the water pool in the cracks of the pavement. The night air was thick with humidity and the scent of wet asphalt. He had nowhere else to go. The eviction notice crumpled in his back pocket told the story he didn't want to face 3 months behind on rent, his construction job barely covering food for his 8-year-old daughter Emma. She was asleep upstairs in their tiny one-bedroom apartment, trusting that Daddy would find a way, like he always did. Marcus ran his calloused hands through his wet hair, feeling the familiar ache in his chest that came with failing as a father. 2 years since Sarah left, taking half his world with her, leaving him to figure out how to be everything Emma needed. Some days he wondered if his little girl would be better off without him. The sound of footsteps splashing through puddles made him look up. Through the curtain of rain he saw a figure stumbling toward the building, a woman in a torn white dress, her dark hair plastered to her face. She carried a small child against her chest, both of them soaked to the bone. "Ma'am," Marcus called out, rising to his feet. "Are you okay?" The woman stopped, her eyes wide with fear as she looked at him. Even in the dim light from the street lamp, Marcus could see the bruises darkening her cheek, the way she held her left arm protectively against her ribs. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rain. "We just need somewhere dry just for tonight." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Come on up," he said gently, opening the door to the building. "You can't stay out here in this weather." The woman, she said, her name was Elena, climbed the stairs slowly, each step seeming to cause her pain. The little boy in her arms, maybe 4 years old, whimpered softly but didn't cry. His dark eyes held a sadness no child should know. In Marcus's small apartment, he wrapped them both in towels and made hot tea with shaking hands. Elena sat on his worn couch, holding her son Miguel close, both of them still trembling from more than just the cold. "He found us," Elena said quietly, staring into her tea. "My husband. We thought we were safe in the shelter, but he found us. Anyway." She touched the bruise on her face gingerly. "He said next time he wouldn't let us leave alive." Marcus felt something burning in his chest, not anger, but a fierce protectiveness he hadn't felt since Emma was born. He knelt down beside the couch, his voice gentle but firm. "You're safe now," he said, "both of you, I promise." For 3 days, Elena and Miguel stayed with Marcus and Emma. The 4 of them shared meals at his small kitchen table, the children's laughter filling spaces that had been empty for too long. Elena helped Emma with her homework while Marcus taught Miguel how to stack blocks into towers. In the evenings they would sit together, the rain still pattering against the windows. And for the first time in months, Marcus's apartment felt like a home. Elena's bruises began to fade, but the fear in her eyes remained. She jumped at every sound in the hallway, every car door slamming outside. Marcus found himself staying awake at night, listening for footsteps on the stairs, ready to protect the small family that had somehow become part of his own. On the 4th morning, there was a knock at the door. Elena went pale, pulling Miguel behind her as Marcus approached the entrance. Through the peephole, he saw 2 police officers in uniform. "Marcus Thompson," the older officer asked when Marcus opened the door. "I'm Detective Williams. We need to speak with you about Elena Vasquez and her son." Marcus's heart pounded. "They're under my protection," he said firmly. "If their husband or father sent you, Mr. Thompson," Detective Williams interrupted gently. "May we come in? There's something you need to know." In the living room, Elena sat frozen on the couch, Miguel curled in her lap. The detective looked at her with kind eyes before turning back to Marcus. 3 days ago, Elena's husband, Carlos Vasquez, was found dead in his apartment, Detective Williams said quietly. "Apparent heart attack. He'd been dead for at least a week before that." The room fell silent, except for the sound of Emma's cartoons playing softly in the bedroom. Elena's face went white, her hands trembling as she held her son. "That's impossible," she whispered. "He was chasing us. He found us at the shelter. He hit me. He Mrs. Vasquez," the detective said gently. "You've been missing for 2 weeks. The shelter reported you never arrived. We've been looking for you and Miguel everywhere." Marcus felt the world tilt around him. He looked at Elena, really looked at her, and for the first time noticed how thin she was, how her clothes hung loose on her frame. The bruises he'd seen, some were fresh, but others were yellowed with age, weeks old. "Elena," he said softly, "where have you been before you came here?" She blinked slowly, confusion clouding her features. I want the rain," she said. "There was so much rain, and Miguel was crying, and we were running, always running. ... The detective leaned forward. "Mrs. Vasquez, you've been living on the streets for 2 weeks. Neighbors reported seeing you in the park, talking to yourself, not eating. You need help, medical help." As the pieces fell into place, Marcus understood. The trauma, the fear, the confusion. The nurse's mind had created a version of events she could survive. Her husband was dead, but in her fractured reality, he was still chasing them, still a threat. But something else became clear too. For 3 days, Elena had been a mother to Emma, a friend to him. Miguel had laughed and played and felt safe. Whatever had brought them to his door, truth or trauma or divine intervention, They had all found something they needed in each other. What happens now? Marcus asked the detective. Alina needs treatment, Detective Williams said, and Miguel needs stable care while she recovers. Marcus looked at the little boy, who was watching him with those two old eyes. He thought of Emma in the next room, how she'd been happier these past 3 days than she'd been in months. He thought of Alina, broken but trying so hard to protect her son. I'll help, Marcus said quietly. However I can, I'll help. 6 months later, Marcus sat on those same concrete steps, but everything was different. Alina was better. The therapy and medication had helped her mind heal along with her body. She worked at a local diner now, saving money for a place of her own. Miguel played in the courtyard with Emma, their laughter echoing off the blue walls. The rain had stopped falling weeks ago, but Marcus would always remember that storm, the one that brought them together, the one that saved them all. Sometimes, the most broken people find each other in the darkness, and together they become whole.